Hello everyone, I have another video here for you, showing large numbers of Russian losses at one time. This video clip shows Ukrainian indirect artillery fire targeting a grouping of Russian BMPs and support vehicles. So we have a spotter drone on the scene which scopes out a bunch of BMPs parked in some woods. I will go through this more in some screenshots later on in the video. Our next clip, we see some very accurate artillery fire called in upon them. This artillery fire hits the position hard, hitting a number of the BMPs. At the end of the video, you can see lots of smoke from multiple fires and burning vehicles over the area. This was carried out by Ukrainian Special Forces, who reported 5 BMPs and 2 trucks destroyed during this artillery strike. Not bad for a day's work. Let's go through a few screenshots first and see if we can tell how many vehicles exactly were here, and then the aftermath to check the number of losses and the strikes. First at the beginning we can see targets numbered 1 and 2. Number 1 is a BMP. Number 2 doesn't look like a BMP, I think this is an ammo storage area. And during the strikes we do see indeed that there is an ammo cook-off here. In this screenshot we can see targets 3, 4 and 5. All of these are BMPs. Targets 6 and 7 and 8 here are all BMPs. At the bottom, there's something in the trees marked with a question mark. I can't tell for sure if it's a vehicle, a storage area, or another object which actually isn't a target. Could be a trick of a light. Here, 9 and 10, the last targets were spotted. These could be BMPs, but on this image we can't tell for sure. Could be something else covered with a camouflage netting, but we'll come to that later on in the video when they are revealed. So in total, 8 confirmed BMPs, a few probable, and then some other targets too. Some may be BMPs, the other ones other vehicles or ammo storage areas. All of these are located within the tree line marked in blue here. Now, I'm going to have a look at this geolocation closer in a few moments. First, here's the tree line with the approximate location of each of the targets, so you can see where each BMP roughly is. Now, let's have a look at the strike itself. So strike number 1 is shown alongside the map on screen now, hitting where the tree line just juts to the left a bit. In this rough location, we identified there was a pair of BMPs. Strike number 2 hits near there, hitting the other target now shown by a red cross. This was likely a BMP plus an unknown camouflage target, but this crops up in a little bit. Strike number 3, a good clean hit to the northernmost tree line where a BMP was hiding. So far, we have 3 BMPs hit, more than likely destroyed, plus a probable BMP with an unknown camouflage target nearby. Here is a strike on one of the past positions hit, and this one reveals that the 2 targets I couldn't fully identify are indeed BMPs. The target hit directly here is another strike on the position of 2 BMPs that were hit first. So now that we have confirmation that the targets I couldn't identify were BMPs, I can amend that to 5 BMPs confirmed destroyed so far. Next, we have a strike on what looks to be the ammo storage area here. There's an ammo cook-off afterwards. So some good strikes here. Ammo storage area and 5 BMPs all hit by indirect fire from this artillery barrage. Now, no sign yet of the trucks which were also reported by the uploader. However, at the end of the video does zoom out a bit. When it does so, it shows us that not only do we have burning vehicles in the area where we saw the BMPs, but also multiple fires and burning along the tree lines highlighted in red. Now some of this may just be vegetation set alight, but likely not all of it. So I think it very likely that even more vehicles were destroyed during this strike, parked in the tree lines here. Possibly this is where the trucks were and we just didn't see them on the video. It would also be interesting to know if there were other BMPs here which were also hit, because that's a lot of fire and a lot of potential targets hit, way more than the 5 BMPs and 2 trucks that were reported. So big losses here. 5 confirmed BMPs is nothing to sniff at, and again, possibly more. Now, this is quite interesting. Let's go back to the geolocation. So these weren't close to the front line. As you can see here, these are southeast of Tokmak. So in the rough region of a counteroffensive, but quite far back where presumably Russia thought they were going to be safe. And as we can see if we switch to Deep States' view, this is just over 30 kilometers to the front lines. This limits the type of artillery which would have been used by Ukraine to target this grouping. Now, the artillery would also be stationed even further back, most likely, to avoid the risk of being spotted and hit by counter battery fire. So, there's a strong possibility of this being the Panzerhaubitze 2000, a number of which were donated by Germany. This uses the M549 round with a 40-kilometer range. The Caesar, donated by France using an M549 round, the same round also used by the Archer system, has a range of 42 kilometers, so that's a possibility as well. So strong likelihood here that it's a Western donated vehicle, either the Panzerhaubitze, the Caesar, or the Archer, using M549 to hit this position. However, we can't also rule out this being the work of the 2S7 Pion, a Soviet-era howitzer which has a round carrying a range of over 47 kilometers, so that is definitely a possibility as well. The location of these BMPs is interesting, given the distance away from the front line. Ukraine did well to seek these out with the drone, spot them, and then call in accurate artillery fire very quickly to hit this position. So, given the ammo dump that we saw getting hit, this looks like it was a point for BMPs to collect supplies, in order to ferret them back towards the front lines in the region of the counteroffensive. It's interesting that BMPs are delegated this task now, rather than the usual soft-skinned utility vehicles such as Ural trucks. Maybe high losses means that Russia is now using armoured vehicles in the transport role like this, to give the vehicles an added bit of protection and try and stop them from being destroyed. The distance is also interesting, because it shows that Russia is stationing its supply points even further back than they were, likely to try and minimise the risk of being spotted and hit by Ukraine's artillery. After seeing this video, it seems we need to station their resupply points even further back, or better yet, just go home. But no doubt, this was a good strike for Ukraine here. 5 BMPs confirmed destroyed in one swoop, not to mention the ammo stockpile, and again, there were likely more vehicles in the other tree lines which were hit. This is at least 5 fewer BMPs heading to the front lines, and when it comes to cutting off Russia's logistical chains, every little bit helps, because remember, these BMPs were likely carrying out a transport role, I would think, transporting ammunition to the front rather than the Ural trucks that Russia typically uses. Cutting the logistics is key to Ukraine's counteroffensive succeeding. Russia's soldiers on the front and Russia's howitzers and the like can't operate if they can't get supplies. So the more Ukraine hits the supply lines, the better. Now, a quick look at Oryx. So these were BMPs. I think BMP-1s, but I'm not too certain. But we have 510 BMP-1s visually confirmed as lost on Oryx so far, 982 BMP-2s, and 283 BMP-3s. Before we finish, here's the map zoomed out to show that this took place on the southern front. Now, that's it for this video, and I hope you found it interesting, and I would appreciate it if you could click like and subscribe to the channel. Now, that's not all I have for you though. Here, I'm going to play a video sent to me from the Ukraine Volunteer Centre and the 3rd Battalion, showing the results of a recent fundraiser that we did. Big thanks to everybody who donated, I appreciate it a lot. Thanks very much, and take care everybody.
Good afternoon, my name is Dmitry, I'm a head of the fund of Ukrainian Volunteer Center. Before we start video report, I want to explain you about car and report of equipment. Since we needed only one car, we bought a slightly more expensive Suzuki Grand Vitara instead of Nissan X-Trail. This car is much better for conditions in which we transferred this car, and we also brought it to 100% good conditions. afternoon. Greetings from the Ukrainian Volunteer Center. Today we are delivering Suzuki Grand Vitara to the paramedics on the Zaporizhia direction. This car will save hundreds of lives from death. We have also brought them some convenience food, chocolate, tea, coffee, pork stew, crockery and cereal. And we took care about warm jackets because of the coming cold weather. Each your donation saves people from death and soldiers from death. Thank you for your help and trust. Glory to Ukraine.
Героям слава!